I know.
We never had that argument about the whole U.S. men's national team thing.
Yeah, that was by design.
Well, no, you were upset about it as soon as we started talking, and then I was like, we'll talk about it later, and we never ended up talking about it.
Jose Mourinho on the short list, by the way.
Nice diversion.
Well, no, I just saw that today. I saw U.S. Soccer Federation fired the men's GM, and that
Brian
Berhalter.
McBride.
Yeah, Berhalter is still under review, but then it came out in, I think, the New York Post that Mourinho is being considered.
He won't take the job.
He said it was an interview in, I forgot when it was, the last time when Berhalter was hired, that like he would love, like once he's won everything in Europe, he wants to come back because his kids go to college in America. Like he just he does, he's something to the effect of like, I don't spend enough time with my family, but this, like, that would allow me to, and like I want to be a part of growing the game and all that stuff. So there's interest. Jose Mourinho, he doesn't say anything that, like, he's a very blunt person. Like he's not going to fuck.
Yeah, but I don't trust him at an international level.
Why?
No.
He hasn't won enough international trophies for you?
No.
Let's have this debate, because that's a stupid take.
It's Yemi Baki Yoko. Oh, yeah. Samina Mina. Edward Mende. Samina Mina Sam Sadate. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
Welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. We've got a domestic full house tonight. Parker is back. So we've got me, got Andy. You can follow me on Twitter at Comiskey North. Then we've got a guy who's Carney Chukwuemeka's boot man, apparently, Matt at Matus Lee. We've also got a guy who loves leg day like Mykhaylo Mudryk, Parker at DJ Parkour. Parker, how you doing?
Well, thanks for the intro, Collins. Yeah, good. And it's definitely good to be back in the States, man. Had a wonderful vacation. Really nice to unplug, relax, and just not really have any agenda. So that was just lovely for the wife and I. But it's good to be back in the, seasonably warm Minnesota. Rocking like 23 degrees here. So it's beautiful, right? Don't want that 85 degrees every single day. You can't get used to that. But no, man, it's good to be back. Happy to be here on Sunday night, and happy to be chatting with you guys again. Matt, how was the weekend? How are you doing, man?
Well, I'm tired, per usual. Put in an 8-hour shift yesterday with my dad working on the basement, and then had some more stuff to do today. And Collins was locally available, shall we say, to stop over and help by Parks. I know you would have been here in a minute if it wasn't a 5-hour drive. But yeah, so we did a bunch of work on the basement, and then did some more. We moved my desk, as the followers can see. I'm in my new surroundings, technically my bedroom. But yeah, I've got TV here and all that stuff. So I'm kind of excited about the setup once, game day comes, because then I can just kind of turn around and pay attention to Zoom meetings. So pretty happy about that. But yeah, all in all, we're doing good. Can't complain too much. Collins, how's it going?
Well, it's great. It's a new me, I feel like. Found out this weekend I developed an allergy to blueberries. I got rid of my tiger stripes in my beard, and I'm rocking the Scott Joseph mustache. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. I'm feeling good. And Chelsea didn't lose, and Mudryk looked good. I don't know. It was just a great weekend all around.
Collins, I'm going to ask this. I know it's poor form on my part. Are you allowed to pick up Aiden with that mustache?
Only during school hours.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure.
All right. Well, to quickly change the subject here, we're on episode 24. And so we're going to toast to a number 24 player. And really, I was looking through the numbers, and this is a two-man race. Boys, here are your options. Gary Cahill, Reece James. Who are we picking?
Ooh. This is, out of the two horses, this is a very close 2-horse race. I don't know. I love Reece James as he is right now. We all know that he's young. We see his potential. Gary achieved a lot at the club, and it's hard to kind of go against that. Like, we all know what Reece can do, but Gary proved himself for a number of years in that role. Let's not forget this past weekend, showing up to Premier League Live wearing the typical dad outfit. I got to give it to Gary.
Oh my God, he was so sorry, Parker. He was so underdressed for the occasion. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think Reece, had he stayed healthy the past 2 years, he would have had a really strong argument. And if he was continuing to do Reece James things and was putting up 7-8 goals a year and 7-8 assists or 15 assists, whatever he was doing, right? Like, had he been putting up numbers the past 2 years, he'd have a really strong argument to take it right now. He just hasn't done enough. I think we all see the potential and see what he can be. Could go down as one of the most decorated Chelsea players of all time, but just hasn't done it yet. And Gare Bear has. He's very decorated, and he's had a stellar career with Chelsea. So today I am cheersing to Gary Cahill.
And let's make it 3. I agree. I think Reece James has more talent than Gary Cahill. I think over the long run, he will be the better player, but it's too early in his career. Gary Cahill played almost 300 matches for the club. Found out today he scored 25 goals in those 300, including a season where he scored 8 in 40 matches. Like, I would kill for that right now. But you just look at the trophies he won as primarily the captain of this club. Champions League, 2 Premier Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues, 2 FA Cups, and a Carabao Cup. He won everything. He won everything with Chelsea. So let's toast to Gary Cahill.
Also, side note, the Cowboys got eliminated tonight. I just want to throw that out there because I hate the Cowboys. So
toast to them boys.
Cheers double to that.
We dem. Oh no.
Matt, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking 4 Roses. Just a staple in the household. So that's what I'm getting after a long weekend, shall we say, with the basement, and my wife's sister was in town for the weekend. Not that that's a bad thing, but just kind of busy all weekend. So it was a good time all around. Also, real quick shout out to my parents. Went out to dinner with them as part of their Christmas celebration. We always take them out to dinner, and it was at our favorite restaurant where we got married, at Lazy Susan in Milwaukee, which they are actually closing. in June. So anybody in Milwaukee that's listening, if you have a chance to go out and visit them, make reservations. They're filling up quick, but one of our favorite spots, we've already got 3 other reservations planned to go there. So just a real quick shout out to the parents and also to Lazy Susan. Parks, what do you got? What are you drinking tonight?
I got Modest's Shook Key Lime Pie Milkshake IPA, which is what I did, Collins, the face you're making when I picked it up, and it's not that good. And I want it to be everything that I wanted it to be and then some. And so it kind of sucks. It's still really good. It just like, it felt like it hit every single note for me from like the description. And I would rate it like a 7, right? It's good. It's just not. I've had better key limes and I've had better milkshakes. I've had better beers all around, but it's still very good. Still drink it. So can't really complain.
I don't know what the one key lime one that you and I both loved is, but we need to find that one. Well, I'm drinking Central Standard Red Cabin, which is a bourbon from Port Barrels or something like that. My wife told me I couldn't add to the bar cart until I finished off some of the bottles that were already on there. So this is the end of that one. So just getting ready to stock it with some Fly the L.
Boy, that sounds like a real tough problem. I'm quite jealous.
All right. Well, on tonight's pod, we're coming off a 0-0 draw at Anfield with Liverpool. So we'll talk about that draw. Is it points lost or points earned, or a point earned? We'll talk about Mykhaylo Mudryk's debut. We'll talk about what seems to be the topic of the week here, Mason Mount, yay or nay. And finally, with the transfer window coming to a close in about a week's time, we'll talk about our hopes for the final week of January for Chelsea. So starting with that draw, we almost went up 1-0 about 5 minutes in. Kai Havertz having a goal disallowed, channeling his inner Timo Werner. Mykhaylo Mudryk comes in, makes an impression, but we do keep a clean sheet for the second match in a row, which is something that we have not done in a long time. Parker, what'd you make of the match?
Positive. You can start to see what this process and what it starts to look like and how it can look going forward. So I'm optimistic. I liked what I saw. It starts to really kind of shine a light on what the problems are, because when Mudryk comes on, it's all anyone focused on. I mean, the announcers couldn't stop talking about him, couldn't stop saying his name. And I found myself looking down where he would be playing, like, ooh, is he going to make a run? Ooh, what's he going to do? Like, it's a new kind of excitement. And, it's a different kind of level, and it's a different kind of like feeling with a player that's got that kind of pace as well as that kind of technical skill. I think it's really going to shine a light on, where people aren't good enough or haven't been good enough, where we thought they were putting in decent shifts and it's just not going to kind of hold anymore. So that's what I'm, interested in, looking forward to. Yeah, I said in the group chat, I really wanted to win that match. It felt like we had all the momentum. It felt like we controlled most of the match, except for, a 15-minute period after halftime, but we controlled a lot of the match. We looked really good, created some really dangerous, chances and opportunities. I felt like Carney had a couple opportunities that sort of went by the wayside. Mount had a really dangerous position where he could have pulled the trigger, decided to go pass instead. And then Mudryk looked very, very dangerous as well. And so exciting stuff with Ziyech and Mudryk, because you could see Ziyech's eyes start to light up and be like, ooh, I got someone I can play balls to now, and he's going to be there, and he's fast, and I can play, some of these darting balls into spaces that I know he's going to get to. And I'm excited to see what can happen with a couple of weeks of training under those two belts together. Defense, though, is where I wanted to finish my little monologue, because it is really nice to have a solid defense again, in a situation where we can really rely on our guys to usher people out and really control the game. I know Liverpool had a couple of half chances, couple of decent chances, but not really. I mean, we really held them to only a couple of half chances. And, I just thought we looked really good. And that combination pairing of Badiashile and Thiago Silva is, 2 for 2 now for me in my eyes. And I'm liking what I see out of the pairing from them.
Yeah, I think it's more about the defense in this one. I was more impressed with that. And Parker, you definitely touched on it. Like, and the way I look at it, like, the attack is the attack, right? It's what we've come to know. Chances squandered, right? Okay, our attack was our attack, but our defense against a pretty aggressive Liverpool team. And I mean, they had us specifically in that second half, they had us on the ropes for a while. And in certain spells, especially coming out like right out of the second half, we were resilient. Like, we held our own. We were able to do the things that I'm sure all of us were holding our breath on and just being like, oh no, here it comes. Like, I was very impressed with how our defense handled everything. My boy, Lewis Hall, I wouldn't say he had a great game, but it was tolerable going up against Mo Salah. I would say it was tolerable. I'm not going to say it was great or good or anything like that, but it was tolerable. But what else can you do when you're 18 years old going up against, somebody like Mo Salah? When Cucurella was on, like, I thought he did a good job, things like that. But, the man of the hour, obviously we all know, Mudryk. I'm sorry, Parks. I'm going to steal one of your lines. I am holding expectations. Like, I am just reserving my expectations for him. I mean, he burned Milner, but Milner's also, old as dirt. TAA, like Alexander Arnold, like, I don't think that he even really held his own against him, which, I mean, TAA is kind of in his own head, at least has it's been for the last month or so. But I don't know. I'm excited by what I saw, but I still think it's too early to say that he's going to be that Aiden Hazard. I know all the comparisons are being thrown out. Like, yeah, he's new Aiden Hazard. Way too early, way too soon. He put in 30 minutes. I do have to give a shout out to his footwork after he took that ball from Connor in the box. Oh, that was sexy. Like, it was so good. But no, I like what I see out of him. But as a game overall, we did what we needed to do to not concede and lose points. That's kind of how I look at it. I do feel like we earned a point. I feel like we probably deserved more, but we've come to know this Chelsea team this year, and we take the points where we can get them. So I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. In terms of holding their own against Mo Salah, Cucurella for 90 minutes, the whole time he was on, limited Mo Salah to absolutely nothing. They had to start playing Mo Salah through the middle in the last probably 10 minutes of the match because he couldn't get anything done. So it was nice to see Cucurella gain a little confidence there. I'd say that really the only negatives from the match were the two youngsters, Lewis Hall and Carney Chukwuemeka. But at the same time, the eternal optimist in me, as you all know, was pretty pleased with that, because Lewis Hall playing well for all these matches and Carney playing well for all these matches, they're not Ronaldo and Messi. They're not Toni Kroos. They're not these these guys who are going to go down as, some of the best in their position in the generation, but they are going to be good. And so they need these kind of fallbacks here. They need to be knocked down a peg in order to build back up stronger, right? You can't grow unless you're challenged. And so seeing Lewis Hall struggle in the midfield, which is supposed to be his natural position, I thought was good. Gives Graham Potter something to coach, right? Carney Chukwuemeka, he was okay. He looked a little hesitant, which, you're playing at Anfield in front of the Cop, and you need points here theoretically. It was bound to happen. So overall, I'm not too disappointed. But yeah, we're going to talk about Mudryk in a minute, so I'm not going to keep harping on that. But the whole defense was solid. Trev on the right was pretty decent. I would say above average. He held his own on the right. Thiago Silva, right-footed Thiago Silva as the right center back. Benoit Badiashile, left-footed as the left center back. And then Cucurella holding his own against Mo Salah. It's nice to have people where they should be. And that was always the complaint over the last probably the entirety of this pod. Has been players playing out of position. So it was nice to see a little continuity and a second clean sheet in a row.
Yeah, and I think with, we've seen more of Carney in, I would say, the last month. We've seen obviously a lot more of Lewis Hall in the last month, and they've been not just playing, but at times starting. Like, yeah, I know that they're young, they're full of energy, like they can go for days. We all remember those days, right? We all know we could go to practice and play at the rec center for God knows how many hours. But playing that long, that many times, especially somebody like a Lewis Hall, who is always, I think for like the last 4 or 5 matches, has been our starting left back or left wing back. Yeah, he's going to be tired and stuff like that. I'm not blaming it on that, but yeah, I completely agree. Like, you go up against a big boy team, right? Like, obviously Liverpool are kind of with us, right? They're kind of in a slight rebuild and everything like that, but they still are dangerous and they still have world-class players. And you go up against a team like that. Yeah, it's going to show you, where your flaws are. And I think we kind of saw that out of Lewis Hall during that match, but he's been doing his job. So I'm all for that. It was good to see Cucurella kind of come back into his own. And because we know that he's been struggling, and me personally, I know I've been saying, put Lewis Hall out there and he's going to be a better option. Cucurella, he handled his own, and it was good to see that out of him. And then, Collins, to your point, confidence is going to be a big thing with him. So I'm very happy to see that he was able to own up to the moment and he was able to produce. Carney, again, young player, usually comes on as like a sub, but he's starting to make his way into like that third sub out of 5 that we have. So he's kind of moving his way up the pecking order. So I'm happy to see that, and the things that we've seen out of him are exciting. They're very forward and very positive. So I like it, but I mean, that's a tough match to be in as a youngster. And the only person I can think of that handled it better was my boy Billy G. But that's its own separate pod. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was good overall.
One thing I wanted to touch on, I'm scrolling through my notes here, and I know we've talked a lot about the defense and attack missing chances and all that, but I was impressed with Kai Havertz in the match. I know he had an open header go off of his back. He had the goal disallowed and all that, but he just reminded me of the butler from Big Daddy. I'm very sneaky, sir. Just coming in around the back. Joe Gomez had no idea what was going on. How many times did Kai Havertz pressure Liverpool into a turnover that then turned into our counterattack? Now, that being said, he needs to finish some of these balls on the receiving end of it. But it was more encouraging than what we have seen, I would say, over the last 2 months, 3 months out of Kai. He didn't look lethargic out there. He looked like he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, a little bit of edge to him. And I don't know if that's him just being a little bit more rested, or if that's Graham Potter's system starting to sink in. So I'm hoping for the latter. Parker, I'm trying to give some runway here.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. I saw a fire out of him as well. But Matt, you mentioned the fact that we're going up against a team, a Big Six, Liverpool, and but they're kind of in the middle like us. One thing that I kind of was thinking about is this team just lacks confidence and like a full team kind of swagger about us, and so we're all kind of playing a little scared. And Liverpool kind of also was playing a little bit scared too. So it was sort of mimicked in the energy that was felt watching the match. But it was teams that weren't playing to not make mistakes, not necessarily playing like they knew exactly what they were doing or where people are going to be. Granted, we feel like a completely new squad right now, so it's going to take some runway. Collins, great word for that. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some runway and playing with people to kind of figure it out. But yeah, it's a lack of confidence and lack of just understanding of where people are going to be, who's going to cover what. There's a lot of like just miscues coming from the team that feels like it can get cleaned up pretty quickly. It's not a lack of quality, but it's a just lack of understanding of where your teammates are going to kind of cover you. But seeing Kai hustle people to lead the press is something I haven't seen in quite some time, and not one that I really anticipated seeing. And guys like Ziyech, who when he came to Chelsea was sort of known for being, I'll call him lazier. He wasn't a dude that tracked back as well. He didn't really defend much, and guys kind of all over it now. He understands that when you track back and you get those turnovers, then you can turn and run and make stuff happen. And he gets those best opportunities when he does that. And it's kind of like, ooh, if I hustle here, then I get the ball and I get to make stuff happen later. And he's learned that. And it's just something that you like to see. So I kind of chalk it up to that. And I'm just excited because I think time is our friend right now, because we have a runway, we have some of those pieces coming in, and now it feels like we have room to grow.
The front four, I think, is going to be scary once everyone's back. You're going to have Kai Havertz up top. I don't think Aubameyang's going to overtake him, or Fofana. But then on the left, you got Mudryk. Through the middle, you got João Felix. And on the right, you have an informed Hakim Ziyech. Scary times, but not for us.
And possibly in the summer, Christian Nkunku.
Yeah, and Nkunku coming. Noni Madueke signing this week. Oh, I'm excited. All right. Well, let's talk about one of those guys making his debut in a 30-minute cameo. Mykhaylo Mudryk, the Ukrainian, recently signed for, I don't know, I've seen anywhere from about 63 million to 100 million. I think it's about 63 plus add-ons. But it was a debut. It was a debut of our biggest signing in however long, probably since Lukaku. What did you guys make of his debut against Liverpool? Man, this is an audio medium.
Next. I gave a thumbs up. Next. I honestly really thought he was superb in his debut for 30 minutes, coming into a game that was 0-0, both teams, and at that point the game was pretty wide open. Coming into a game like that, that's a tough ask out of anybody. And Collins, he's 22. Yep. And you're a big money transfer. Eyes are going to be on you. I'm all in favor of Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting showing out. Like, I thought he played great. Those touches he had in the box and put it just wide. Oh, Oh, that was so nice to watch, because we don't have anybody that can do that on our team right now, or anybody with the balls to do that. And he just did it effortlessly. He's just like, I'm just going to take everybody on, and I don't care. He took the shot from Milner. He went toe to toe with TAA. Like, he did what he had to do, and he was dangerous. As soon as he came on the pitch, Liverpool's dynamic changed instantly. They knew that he was going to be a problem. And I'm so excited that we have somebody like that, because it feels like we haven't had a person like that in a long time.
The last person I can remember, and he's not, the best at it in the world, but it was Pulisic, a guy that wasn't afraid to take people on one-on-one and at least try to go past them and make something happen. Obviously, the comparisons to Eden Hazard are there. It's completely unfair at this stage to make, but you see, kind of that box of magic. You see like the potential for highlight reel stuff to happen, and that was what Hazard was all about. He could make something happen out of nothing. He showed up and just kind of, he pulled a rabbit out of his hat. He was just magical. And I again, tempering expectations, right? But I can see it. I can see the potential for that being the case. He can make those darting Timo Werner runs, which is what we praised him and loved him for, as well as have that technical ability to take people on one-on-one and get his teammates involved, do give and goes, work in really tight quarters in the box. It seems like, we used to play so far out on the wings, and everything was through Reece James or through Benny Chills for the longest freaking time. And it seems like that's getting more and more and more narrow. We're working our way in, and the technical ability is going to be kind of, box to box, and that width, that box length width. And it's just, I'm excited that we're working our way there, because then it's going to open up dudes like Cucurella, then who can kind of come behind him, and he'll be wide open because all of that focus will be drawn in. So then your possibilities then just kind of explode from there.
Yeah, I know you guys are trying to temper expectations, but I've been seeing it for weeks now. He's Eden Hazard's successor. I think he has the mentality. I think he has the speed, which is something that we have not had in a very long time. He has the technical ability, and yeah, he missed a couple gimmies in terms of shots in this match, but the dude hasn't played a competitive match since November. The Ukrainian league has been on a winter break for, better part of 2 months here. So first game back, you have to play at Anfield, and you put on a show like that. That's good shit. But that speed though, dude, so fast, just so fast. His registered top sprint in the Premier League, 36.6 kilometers an hour. That's about 23 miles an hour. He could run in a residential neighborhood in Milwaukee and get pulled over. It's amazing. But yeah, you absolutely saw it, Matt. Like you said, Liverpool's mindset and Liverpool's game plan changed immediately. James Milner was at right back that whole match because all he had to do was guard Mason Mount. Cool, right? Easy job for him. Mudryk comes on, and all he can do is chop him down. That's the only way he can prevent him from getting to pass. There was one ball, I think it was a Mason Mount misplayed ball, went way too far down that left wing. 99% of the time for Chelsea, that's a turnover. Other teams getting that. Mudryk chased that down, bodied Milner. I think drew a foul in the process. But it was fantastic. And then you look at Trent Alexander-Arnold coming on in response. How many times have we had another team sub in response to what we do? Not very often. But TAA loves getting forward. He sat deep a lot. Anytime Mudryk was around the halfway line, TAA was playing maybe a third of the way down the field because he didn't want to get beat. It was when Mudryk fell back towards our box to defend that TAA came up and attacked. That is the kind of thing that I want to see out of a signing like this, is somebody who will literally change the game. And I think once he hits his form, once he gets, back up to fitness, again, scary times, but not for us.
Yeah, I mean, I will put a slight damper on that. I completely agree with everything that you said, but Milner was also on a yellow at that time because he chopped down Mudryk. So I think it was more of a. I agree it was strategic, but also you don't want to go down to 10 and do something like that. So obviously TAA had to come on for his pace and probably to also create, and Milner was already on the yellow, but I'm not taking anything away from anything that you said. I completely agree with you.
Well, to play devil's advocate here, that's also because of Mudryk, right? Because
Yes.
the only
Yes.
way Milner was going to stop Mudryk from getting past him was to pick up another yellow.
Yep. Completely agree. Like I said, Milner was already on a yellow. So it had to be done because of him, and knowing that Milner couldn't deal with that. Yes, he couldn't deal with it, and he was on a yellow. So no, like I said, I completely agree with your point.
All right, well let's go from something exciting to something not so exciting, and that's Mason Mount. Been on a poor stretch here, pretty much since before the World Cup. He's been poor. I'm seeing a lot of slander and a lot of defense of him. It seems about a 50-50 split on Chelsea Twitter. By the way, on Twitter, you can follow us at FlagDownPod. He hasn't had a great couple matches. I will wholeheartedly agree with that. But is prospectively selling him or not renewing his contract a good idea or a mistake?
Is it a good idea? Question mark. I think it all depends on the price for the contract piece of it, because from what it sounds like, his demands are pretty high. I know that other players have been kind of getting that in the market, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we should pay him that on a long-term deal. And the only thing that's giving me pause about it is some of the new guys that have come in on longer term deals, incentive-based contracts that start out at a lower salary than what he's asking for, and a fair amount lower. And I think old guard kind of treated it a different way, and those salaries you could see kind of creep up and up and up and up, and you can like look at how high even like a Ruben Loftus-Cheek is. It's kind of damning when you see like Mudryk's salary isn't as high as RLC's. That's kind of freaking crazy to me. But it's on a long-term deal and there's incentives baked into that. So there's other ways for compensation. But it for the salary talks, Mount all comes down to what can we get for him, or what can we sign him for that makes sense with all of the other pieces that have been moving around. He's on a poor form. He's as the Twitterverse says, proper Chelsea. He's Chelsea through and through. I mean, he's a Cobham kid. He wants to be there. You can tell he cares. He just hasn't had his best run of performance. And but at his age, he's incredibly accomplished. He's been our player of the season like one or two times, I think, at least once. The guy's got loads of quality. And, you know, I always try to think like if it was announced that we were signing a Mason Mount, if Mount played for West Ham, we'll kind of flip-flop him with like a Declan Rice. If Mount played for West Ham, would we be excited to get him? And I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is like, hell yeah, we would be excited to sign this kid because he's young. He still has a lot of room to grow. It just doesn't feel like it because he's been playing with us since he's 18, 19 years old. So it feels like he's seasoned and he should be, 26, but he's not. Still a kid. He still has a lot of room in front of him. I just don't want to pay him $300K a week because I don't think that's a valid use of our funds. And I think that money can get spread around and put to better use than that.
I'll be the advisor for Parker, the non-politically correct advisor for Parker. He's not worth $300K a week. There's no way in hell. with how inconsistent he is. When he's on form, yes. Wonderful. When he's not, how many times have we asked the question, was he even on the pitch? You can't be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde throughout your entire career, which it seems like he has been. That's an issue. You're telling me you can't find some middle ground where you're involved. You might not score a goal, you might not assist, but you're at least contributing in some sort of way. You might put a ball in or a ball or two in. It's either he scores or assists and we notice it, or he is completely lost. You can't pay that kind of money for a player like that. There is no way. And we've talked about it so many times. He is our best player, then all of a sudden, where is he? You can't pay that kind of money for that type of inconsistency. There's just no way to do it. I think if you do re-sign him, you do it the way that we've been doing with all of these new long-term transfers. Here's your weekly wages, and based on your incentives, based on how well you do, then we will pay you. And I like that approach, right? And Collins, I know that you're the old school Chelsea guy. What have you done? What do you have? Yes, he's won Champions Leagues and stuff like that. Yes, he has. But going back to the Roman era, what have you done for me lately? It's hard to tell, like, kind of what he's done because he is so hit and miss. I'm sure his stats are probably not bad, but he goes through so many ups and downs and like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And he doesn't have a middle ground. So like what do you want to pay for? Do you want to pay for the highest of highs, and you're okay with eating the lowest of lows? I really don't know. To me, it doesn't make sense for what he's asking to be paid at this point.
Yeah, and not to rain on your guys' 300,000 parade, but it has come out that he's not looking for that amount. That was the initial rumor. The word is apparently leaked from his side is that he's looking for somewhere around the range of 200,000. That puts him level with Wesley Fofana, Ben Chilwell, Dave. Cucurella is about 175. Reece James is about 250, just for reference. I think he fits in that range. He's an academy kid. He's 2 times player of the year last 2 seasons. So, you know, as inconsistent as he may have been over that time, you know, he's got quality. And to see him go to, you know, whether he joins Declan Rice at Arsenal or goes to Liverpool as a Jordan Henderson replacement, he's going to thrive. I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to thrive. And we're going to be letting him walk for probably not as much as he's worth. So I'm all in on an incentive-based contract. I'm all in on him getting around 200K. I think he fits right in the middle of that group. But you look at his poor form, and I don't know. I've talked about this before, where you look at him playing, starting in the COVID season. Then you have delayed Euros. You have World Cup in there. You've got us playing in the Club World Cup. You've got us going to the Champions League final. You've got us going deep into just about every tournament since he's been in the first team, like since COVID. The guy wears he wears his heart on his sleeve. You can see that he's pressing, right? You can see over the last couple months that he's been pressing. I think he's trying to compensate for the team not playing well. And I think that's overextending him. The guy needs a break. This 13 days that we're going to have off here over the next, until February, I think is a godsend. I think Mace needs to just chill. He needs to find a recliner, needs to binge watch. I don't know. I'm watching The Last of Us. He can watch it with me. He needs some time off. Needs some time off of the football, off the pitch, because when he is rested, he is typically in form. So I'm all for sign him up, give him a break. Don't release him to the England squad. Give him a break.
Yeah, the other thing I'll point out too is you look at the pieces that he's getting around him now too. Mace had to carry a lot of the load just in terms of like, making stuff happen in the last 2 seasons, just because he was one of our most creative players. I don't think he should be one of our most creative players. I think he should be kind of that number 8 facilitator and kind of field captain on the pitch, kind of a dude. But he's had to do a lot of that stuff. He's had to take a lot of that on, and he's going to have a lot of dudes around him now going forward. So I know we always evaluate players on past performance and, are you worth the contract that you signed? But we also do have to look forward to, in this new team, in this new system, in this Graham Potter world, what is his role going to be? Is it going to be will he thrive? Will he excel? Will he have less bad games? Matt, to your point, will he have less of those downs, or just more stability in his role with that? And if the answer is yes, then he could be worth it. He could be worth every single penny of him to stay with Chelsea and then not go to a rival, not go to a Liverpool, or not go to an Arsenal or somewhere like that. So unfortunately, only time tells, whether or not we were right on that. But I personally hope he stays. I'll just say that. I hope he stays. I like Mace. I want to cheer for Mace to do well. And I am sad that he goes through forms like this, because I know he takes a ton of shit on the chin from all the fans for it. But he's kind of like Dave to me, where I see him really, really care about the club. And I really see like the work that he puts in to do his best on most days.
My only counter to that is the fact that, yes, we all know he's Chelsea through and through, right? Cobham, all that stuff. Where's he going to fit into a Graham Potter squad with all of the new signings that we've made? Where is he going to fit?
Well, he's said multiple times publicly his best position is number 8. So behind that number 10, but behind whether it's João Felix, Kai Havertz, sitting behind there being the attacking midfielder, or not being the holding, not being the number 6.
Right. But I'm just saying, what happens when you have Conte back? What happens when, Gallagher is taking up that spot, depending on whatever tactics they want to have? I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just throwing out options. Like, if that's the case and you're paying $200,000 a week ish for somebody who may or may not be playing, right? Like, I'm very hesitant about that, especially with the young crop of players. And we've talked about this, the young crop of players that we have brought in, right? We're basically building a farm team, right? Drink, baseball reference, drink. But we're basically doing that exact same thing, right? We are building for the future. Yes, I know he's young. Yes, I know he can do great things. He has great quality. The problem is the quality is so hit and miss with him. Like, if somebody else comes through and takes his spot, then you're still on the hook for $200K. Granted, I know it's bully money. It's basically fuck you money, right? Like, we all know that. But like, where does he fit in this system that Potter is trying to develop? I'm not sure that signing him to, if it would be a long-term contract, to like a 7-year deal, or some of the things that we've seen with some of these young kids coming in, if that makes the most logical sense.
Is that a bad thing, though? You look at teams like Manchester City, you look at Arsenal, you look at Manchester United, and they have depth at every position. They have talented players at every single position. And we've talked about in the past how that's one of the flaws at Chelsea is once you get past that first 11, we're shit. And so, yeah, Connor may beat him out on any given day, or, Kovacic or Conte, assuming that he comes back or re-signs his deal. Yeah, that might happen. But the guy has played since COVID 203 matches for club and country. 203. Gary Cahill in his Chelsea career played 290.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad if you have A, competition, and B, give the guy a break every once in a while. And, in regards to players that we're paying to not play, Aubameyang's on 160. Christian is on 150. Chilwell's constantly injured at 190. Reese is constantly injured at 250. Conte is constantly injured at 290. Koulibaly isn't starting anymore at 295. It doesn't matter. As long as he's not the top earner at the club, it doesn't matter.
No, and those are great numbers. I completely agree. Thank you for bringing those up. I'm completely on board with you. My thing is, if everybody is holding him in this high regard, like he is going to be the next big thing, then I want to see him produce that. And I know you've talked about, just like what you mentioned, club and country, right? Mason's been bad since before the World Cup. Like, he hasn't been good. And he was bad in the World Cup. He hasn't been great since. I will die on this hill right now if I have to. Kova has been better, and he has still been doing the same thing, playing for World Cup, where they made it farther than England. And yes, I know he's out. He's kind of being rested. I think he has a knock with his knee, but he has been more consistent than Mace has over his career in a Chelsea uniform. He has been more consistent. I'm not talking about stats. This has nothing to do with stats as far as goals scored, because Kova doesn't score. Kova has been more consistent than Mace has. And I know they play different positions. I get that. I know you're going to come at me with that.
No, I was just going to say Kova's been crap since the World Cup. He hasn't been good.
And Mace has been shit since before the World Cup.
Yeah, so they're the same.
They've both been probably playing the same amount of matches. So it's not that Mace needs a break. He was shit before the World Cup. That small time frame, I'm not talking about the whole thing, that specific time frame that you referenced really doesn't hold a lot of weight. That's all. And yes, I'm just here to start a fight.
Yeah, and I wasn't. I apologize if I didn't.
No.
I was talking about since COVID, he's played 200 matches.
Right. And Kova's been in damn near every single match as long as he's been healthy to do it, including the World Cup, where he played damn well. And Mace was damn near non-existent. I would have rather seen Conor Gallagher.
Mace has played 36 more matches over that time than Mateo Kovacic.
Is that due to injury?
I don't know.
I didn't know if you had that, but my guess would be because Kova had the knee injury and then a quad injury, but yeah, no, I completely get it. I just think that I wouldn't be upset if Mace had a break. The only problem is I think that there's so much faith in him to not take a break, but he's too inconsistent where everybody thinks that we need him out there, but we really don't. It's like he's got to be the one to always be out there. Like, I don't think he's that guy. Like, we live or die by Mason being on the pitch.
But that's where then, Masters of Psychology, Graham Potter comes in, because that's where you sit him down and you'd be like, you've been playing great. You've been, working your ass off in training. We're going to sit you, this match coming up. It's not due to you. It's just, we're trying to save you for whatever, right? You insert the scenario here, but that's where you just kind of manage the man. You sit him down, you make him understand what's going on, that every third or every fourth he gets a break, or he comes on as a cameo and just plays 25 minutes or whatever the case, because as well as I do, Matt, like people can come in dangerous situations with a 25-minute cameo and run at people or make stuff happen with tired legs out there. And if that's more his role, I don't think I can remember the last time I saw Mace come on as a cameo, as a sub, right? Like if you take a load off of him like that, let him play in a little bit of a different scenario, different role, it seems like he's game enough to do it. And Potter, if there's someone I trust to manage people, it's going to be him, because he's kind of proven that he can control the locker room at least a little bit more.
All right. Well, speaking of Potter ball, Potter has been very, very involved in transfers from everything that's been reported, as well as Boley's think tank that he has developed. But we do have 1 week left in this transfer window. I've got a couple of needs, which would be a number 6 or any midfielder in general. And then I would say a right back with Reece James's injury problems. So I sent you guys a list earlier of all the players that were rumored to be involved with. I think some of the top names are Moises Caicedo, Declan Rice, Enzo Fernandez, Mal Gusto, and Denzel Dumfries. If you guys had to pick out of that list, who would be your number 1 target for this last week of the window?
I'll take Enzo, because it's a matter of just paying the release clause there. And it seems like with like the Declan Rice sweepstakes, it seems like he's a little bit more, how are you going to use me, and what are your plans for me? And he wants to kind of feature in a role where it's sort of all around him. At least it's what I've been reading or what I've been seeing. But then give me Denzel Dumfries as a Reece James backup. I like him. I saw what he did in the World Cup. It's really my exposure to him, but I enjoyed watching him play there. And we've seen time and time again how our team goes to hell in a handbasket when Reece James is out, and we just need a backup there. We need another solid player. We need the Cucurella for when Chills goes down, and we need the Dumfries when James goes down. And that'll James is another dude that we rely a ton on when he's healthy, and he came back probably a little bit too soon this first time. I want to have a solid replacement or a solid backup to him where we can rotate those guys a little bit more and give James a little bit of a rest as well, while we're talking about resting folks. James doesn't need to play every single minute of every single match either. So having a reliable person back there is where I'd go.
Collins?
I think if you're going to pay what Brighton are asking for Moises Caicedo, yeah, you might as well just fork over the extra 40 million for Enzo. I'm done with Declan Rice. I was never sold on him to begin with. I think he's oh man, who was that guy who played for the Bucks for a while? We gave a huge contract to when we were really bad because he just put up points. Simmons, something like that.
Jennings.
Brandon Jennings.
Yeah, Brandon Jennings. Yeah.
Tony Snell, Michael Red.
Red.
Declan Rice seems like the kind of guy who stat pads for bad teams. I see him like a Jack Grealish. Caicedo is 21. He's young. Brighton, we know, turns out good players. But yeah, I don't think he's worth 80 million pounds. So go all in on Enzo. Even if it's just to sign him now and have him come in summer, like in Nkunku, I'm all for that. But I think our biggest need is that backup right back, especially with Reece James's history of injuries. Malo Gusto from Lyon is fantastic. 19 years old. He's already featured 40 times in the first team for Lyon. Has played in a Champions League and a Europa League campaign every match for Lyon. And he kind of fits what we do. He's a very offensive-minded wingback. He's got speed, whips a nasty cross into the ball, or took too much NyQuil. Whips a nasty ball into the box. But yeah, obviously, as you all know, I've got a soft spot for Leon. But I think at the age of 19, he's going to be a guy who, if you sign for an 8.5-year contract, you're going to make your money back pretty easily.
Where do I go from here? I still want Declan Rice. I still do. And I want Enzo. I want them both. We've seen that Todd Bowley is not afraid to splash that fuck you money. We saw that with Mudryk, right? We've spent almost $500 million since Bowley has been in charge on bringing in new talent. He is not afraid to do that. I think Declan gives you your box to box to essentially replace a player like an N'Golo Kante. He gives you that box to box. You still have Kova. Kova's 28, so he still has, probably 4 years in him. And then you bring in Enzo to play that Jorginho-esque type role. I think if you can solidify that, you're good to go. But, it's Bowley season, right? I don't stop there. I do like Dumfries as a right back. I still kind of want Serginho Dest, just me being the US fan. Like I would still like to see it. But somebody that can play both right and left, I would be a fan of it. I think that you need to solidify the midfield. I think our attack is pretty set. If you look at everything that's been going on and all the transfers that we've made, give them 2 or 3 years and they'll come into their own and do what they need to do. If not, then, we get rid of them, right? I want to see the midfield solidified. I've watched plenty of West Ham games. I know what Declan Rice can do when he is the focus of that team. He doesn't have to be the focus of a Chelsea team, which frees him up to do even more and just focus on one thing. I've seen him go box to box so many times, back and forth in open play. He just goes. He can create on his own, and he can distribute. He can do all those things. I like him as a box to box. I think Enzo is more of a Jorginho-esque type role, but can get out of trickier situations better than Jorginho can. I think if you run a combination of Declan, Fernandes, Kova, if Kante stays, whatever, and then let's say Kante doesn't stay, then you also have like a Conor Gallagher who is also going to run box to box, even though he's probably not told to, but he will. You basically own the midfield at that point. So I would like to see Enzo and Declan Rice in the midfield, splash that cash, make it work.
I did also see the rumor this week, and I'd be very excited for this, that Chelsea are planning on buying the 15 points deducted from Juventus.
$5.
Bully, fuck you money.
As long as
It's
it's
not
not
worth
from
shit.
Barcelona, because they're out of levers.
All right, boys. Well, that pushes us. Oh boy, we are past the hour mark today. I'm gonna have to do some chop. But any closing thoughts?
Spend that money, baby. Spend that money.
Hashtag Chef Bowley.
All right. Well, before we cheers to that, let me pay some bills here. If you've enjoyed what you watched on Twitch, please give us a follow there. We will be there most Sunday evenings, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Just search at Flag Down Pod. If you're busy on Sundays or if you like to listen to the podcast version, you can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts. All that we ask is that if you're on Spotify or Apple, that you subscribe, rate, and review. Takes no more than just a few seconds, but it does us more good than you know. You can always follow us on social media. We recently just hit 1,000 followers on Twitter. You can be in the next 1,000. Just give us a follow there. Just search at Flag Down Pod. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. You can follow me, Andy. I'm at Comiskey North. Parker's at DJ Parkour, and Matt is still suspended. If you have any questions or comments you want us to address on air, again, hop in the chat on Twitch or shoot us a message, leave a comment on social media. We're happy to read what you got. So, boys, that's all I've got. Let's toast to making it rain and Chef Bully cooking up a good meal.
Cheers. I'm all potted out.